The large conference room on Diplomatic Station Epsilon was filled with representatives from 17 different alien species. The air buzzed with translation devices and the soft hum of environmental systems. Captain Lisa Wright of the Earth, Ship Starweaver, watched as her communications officer, Jack Miller, tried to explain human communication patterns to the increasingly frustrated Vrax ambassador. "You must understand, Ambassador Zektora, humans communicate frequently because it's part of our social bonding," Jack said, gesturing with his hands. "It's not meant to be an intrusion." The tall, blue-skinned Vrax fluttered his neck membranes in obvious annoyance. "Your species broadcasts on nearly every available frequency. Your colony worlds never stop transmitting. Your ships constantly ping and ping and ping across the void. It is not merely social bonding, Officer Miller. It is noise pollution on a galactic scale." Lisa sighed. This was the third interspecies diplomatic conference this year where humanity's chattiness had become the main topic. The Vrax weren't wrong. Humans did talk a lot, both in person and across communication channels. It was just their way. "Ambassador, I assure you we're working on more focused transmission protocols," Lisa said, stepping forward. "The new Earth-designed, narrowband systems should reduce overflow by 80%. Ambassador Zektora's compound eyes blinked in sequence. "That would be acceptable if your engineers actually implement them. The last 3 promises from human diplomats remain unfulfilled." From across the room, the jellyfish-like Arlaxian representative floated closer, her translucent body pulsing with soft blue light. "The humans cannot help themselves," she said, her voice coming through the translator with a musical quality. "Their brains are wired for constant communication. It is their biology, not their choice." Lisa felt her face grow warm. "With respect, Representative Norvesh, it's cultural, not biological. We're perfectly capable of silence when needed." The small, furry Centauri scientist nearby made a sound like suppressed laughter. "Our studies suggest otherwise, Captain." "Right. In controlled environments, humans begin talking to themselves after only 7.2 minutes of isolation. No other species does this." Around the room, various aliens nodded or made their species-equivalent gestures of agreement. Lisa could see her crew shifting uncomfortably. Chief Science Officer Alan Patel caught her eye and subtly shook his head, warning her not to get defensive. "Regardless of the reason," Zektora continued, "the Galactic Council has received formal complaints from 12 species about human communication volumes. Something must be done." Commander Olivia Reyes, Lisa's second-in-command, stepped forward. "We understand your concerns, Ambassador. Earth Central is taking this seriously. But remember that human communication has benefits, too. Our warning system detected the Krell invasion 3 weeks before anyone else, saving millions of lives on Vrax colonies." This caused a momentary pause in the complaints. The Krell incident was still fresh in everyone's memory. "A fair point," admitted Zektora after a moment. "But one useful instance does not justify the constant barrage." Medical Officer Diane Martinez whispered to Lisa, "They're never going to understand. It would be like asking the Vrax not to photosynthesize." Lisa nodded slightly. Humans talked. They chatted and joked and debated and sang. They filled silence with words because silence made them uncomfortable. It was just who they were. "We will continue to work on technical solutions," Lisa promised the assembled aliens. "In the meantime, we've prepared a presentation on human communication methods that might help explain our perspective." As engineer Sam Foster set up the holographic display, Lisa noticed several alien representatives adjusting their translation devices. A few looked resigned, preparing for another long human presentation full of words, and more words. Little did any of them know that in just 5 days, the endless stream of human chatter that had annoyed the galaxy for decades would suddenly and inexplicably stop, and when it did, those same annoyed aliens would discover just how much they had come to depend on humanity's constant noise. 3 days after the diplomatic conference, Chief Science Officer Alan Patel stared at his screen with growing concern. The Starweaver was patrolling the edge of human space, and Alan had detected something unusual. "Captain, you need to see this," he called to Lisa, who was reviewing reports nearby. Lisa walked over to his station and looked at the display. "What am I looking at, Alan?" "This energy pattern here," he said, pointing to a wave-like signature on the screen. It appeared 6 hours ago at the very edge of our sensor range. I've never seen anything like it. Lisa frowned. Is it natural? I don't think so. It's too regular, too precise. And it's moving toward human space. Commander Olivia Reyes joined them, peering at the readings. Could it be a new alien species trying to make contact? Alan shook his head. It doesn't match any known communication pattern, but it's affecting quantum channels somehow. Look at this data from Outpost 7. He pulled up another screen showing communication logs from the nearest human settlement. The regular ping signals were becoming distorted. Let's investigate, Lisa decided. Plot a course to intercept the signal source. The Starweaver changed direction, its powerful engines pushing it toward the mysterious energy pattern. In the engine room, Sam Foster was checking systems when the orders came through for increased speed. What's going on up there? He asked over the intercom. We've detected an unusual signal, Lisa replied. We need to check it out. Sam nodded to himself. Engines are running at peak efficiency, Captain. We'll get you there. As they traveled, Jack Miller in communications noted something concerning. Captain, I'm getting reports from Outpost 7. Their communication systems are going down. Technical failure? Lisa asked. No, that's the strange part, Jack said, scrolling through incoming messages. The equipment is working fine. The people... Just stop talking. A tense silence fell over the bridge. Lisa turned to Alan. Theories? Not enough data yet, he replied, fingers flying over his console. But whatever this signal is, it might be affecting human brain function somehow. Medical Officer Diane Martinez spoke up from her station. If it's targeting neural pathways, it could be incredibly dangerous. We should approach with caution. Agreed, Lisa said. Yellow alert. Let's maintain distance when we arrive. The journey took 16 hours. During that time, more reports came in from human settlements in the area. One by one, they were falling silent. Not just communication systems failing, but people actually stopping mid-sentence and not speaking again. When they reached the coordinates, there was nothing visible to the naked eye. But the sensors detected the energy pattern clearly now, a wave of something moving through space. It's heading directly toward the New Washington colony, Olivia reported. Population 5,000. How long until it reaches them? Lisa asked. About 2 hours at current speed. Lisa made a quick decision. We need to warn them. Jack, open a channel. Jack tried repeatedly but shook his head. No response, Captain. I think they're already affected. Alan's eyes widened as he looked up from his instruments. Captain, I've analyzed the wave pattern. It's not just affecting communication systems. It's specifically targeting the speech centers of the human brain. You mean it's making people unable to speak? Diane asked, horrified. That's exactly what I mean, Alan confirmed. And based on its trajectory, it will reach Earth in approximately 5 days. Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. Can we stop it? Sam joined them on the bridge, wiping engine grease from his hands. If it's an energy wave, maybe we can create some kind of counterwave. Disrupt it somehow? It's worth trying, Alan agreed. But we'll need help. This is beyond anything we've dealt with before. Send a message to Earth and all colonies in the wave's path, Lisa ordered. Warning, priority 1. Include all our data. Jack turned pale at his station. Captain, I can't. Our outgoing communications just went down. Lisa looked at her crew's worried faces. The wave. It's reached us. Olivia tried to speak, her mouth moving, but no sound came out. One by one, each crew member attempted to talk, but silence filled the bridge. Humanity's endless chatter was about to stop, and nobody knew why. Panic spread across human space as the silence wave moved from colony to colony. The Starweaver crew watched helplessly as emergency broadcasts from Earth showed the wave approaching the home planet. They could still think clearly, but no words would come out when they tried to speak. In the ship's medical bay, Diane Martinez examined Jack Miller. She pointed to her throat, then to a brain scanner. Jack nodded, understanding she wanted to scan his brain. The results appeared on the screen moments later. Diane's eyes widened, She grabbed a tablet and typed quickly. Speech centers still active but disconnected from vocal system. You're trying to talk, but signals aren't reaching your voice. Around the ship, the crew found ways to communicate without speaking. Sam Foster rigged up a simple text-to-display system so they could type messages that appeared on screens throughout the ship. It wasn't perfect, but it was something. On Earth, 7 billion humans fell silent all at once. News videos showed crowds of people in New York, Beijing, and London standing in silent shock. Some cried without making a sound. Others frantically wrote notes to each other. Lisa sat in her captain's chair watching these images with a heavy heart. She typed on her tablet. "We need to get back to Earth. Maybe working together we can find a solution." Olivia nodded and entered. The course changed into the navigation system. As the Starweaver turned toward Earth, Alan was in his lab, desperately trying to analyze the silence wave. He studied data from across human space, looking for any pattern or weakness in the phenomenon. He typed a message that went to all ship displays. "The wave is artificial. Someone or something made this happen." The news sent a ripple of shocked expressions across the bridge. Lisa immediately typed, "A weapon?" Alan's reply came quickly. "Possibly, but why target only human speech? Other species still talk fine." This was true. As they monitored transmissions, they could hear aliens across the galaxy continuing to communicate normally. Only humans were affected. 4 days after the wave hit Earth, the Starweaver arrived in orbit. The planet below seemed strangely peaceful. No radio chatter filled the airwaves. No constant stream of music, talk shows, or news broadcasts. Just silence. Lisa and her senior officers took a shuttle down to Earth Central Command in Geneva. The normally busy, noisy headquarters was eerily quiet. People moved around with notepads and tablets, communicating through written words and gestures. Admiral Perry, the head of Earth Fleet, met them at the entrance. He looked tired and stressed. He held up a tablet with a message. "Thank God you're here. Any progress?" Lisa shook her head and typed, "Not yet, but we have a theory it's artificial. Someone did this to us." The Admiral's face darkened. He led them to a large conference room where scientists and military leaders from around the world had gathered. On screens around the room, alien representatives from friendly species watched and listened. The Centauri scientist who had teased humans about their chattiness at the diplomatic conference spoke through a translator. "We are most disturbed by this development. Our medical experts are working to understand the phenomenon." Nur Vesh, the Arlaxian representative, floated closer to her camera. "This silence is unnatural for humans. We have never seen anything like it." Even Ambassador Zektora of the Vrax appeared concerned. "The Vrax Imperium offers medical and scientific assistance. This situation is unsettling." Lisa felt a bitter irony. The same aliens who had complained about human noise now seemed worried by human silence. Admiral Perry typed a message that appeared on the main screen. "We need to find who's responsible and why." Alan raised his hand and typed when given permission. "I believe I've located the source of the wave. It's coming from a star system at the edge of explored space." Lisa looked at her science officer with renewed hope. She typed, "Then that's where we need to go." Around the room, determination showed on the silent human faces. They would find answers. They would get their voices back. But first, they needed to learn to live in silence. The Galactic Council chambers were filled with representatives from 36 species. Emergency meetings like this were rare, called only in times of serious crisis. The sudden silencing of humanity qualified as such a crisis. Ambassador Zektora of the Vrax stood at the central podium. "Fellow representatives, we face an unprecedented situation. The humans, a species known for their constant communication, have fallen completely silent. This is not natural and poses serious concerns for galactic stability." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Many of the aliens had complained about human chatter for years. Now they seemed unsure how to feel about the silence. "I have surveillance footage from Earth," said Norvesh, the Arlaxian representative. Her translucent body glowed, with worried blue pulses as she activated a hologram. The images showed silent humans in various Earth cities. They communicated through tablets, hand gestures, and hastily written notes. Some wore devices around their necks that displayed text as they typed. Children in schools learned sign language at amazing speed. They adapt quickly, noted the Centauri scientist Krilpaz. But they are clearly distressed. Humans use vocal communication as a primary social bonding method. What caused this? Asked a representative from the Melnori Federation, a species of tall, thin beings with 6 eyes arranged in a circle around their heads. Unknown, replied Zektora. But the human scientists believe it was deliberately caused by an artificial wave. This news caused louder murmurs. Deliberate silencing of an entire species was an act of war under galactic law. Has anyone claimed responsibility? Asked the Telleran ambassador, his scales shifting color with concern. No one has come forward, Norvesh confirmed. And our scientist cannot identify the technology used. It appears to target only human neural pathways. On a screen at the side of the chamber, a human representative from Earth watched the proceedings. Admiral Perry typed a message that was translated and read aloud by an AI voice. Earth requests assistance in tracking the source of this attack. We believe it originated in the Cygnus sector, beyond the normal trade routes. Zektora fluttered his neck membranes thoughtfully. The Vrax Imperium will provide scout ships to aid in the search. The Arlaxians offer medical assistance, added Norvesh. Our neural specialists may help understand how the humans are affected. One by one, species offered help. Even those who had filed complaints about human noise now seemed eager to assist. The Melnori scientist Xanthar approached the podium. I have studied the data from the wave. It appears designed to disable a specific feature of human speech centers, without causing other damage. This indicates an intimate knowledge of human biology. An enemy? Asked Krilpaz. Or someone who feared human speech specifically, Xanthar suggested. This idea caused a thoughtful silence in the chamber. Many species had found human communication annoying, but none had considered it threatening. What could be threatening about human speech? Norvesh wondered aloud. Xanthar's 6 eyes blinked in sequence. Perhaps their constant communication allows them to notice patterns others miss. Perhaps their chatter is not merely social but serves an evolutionary purpose we do not understand, the Telleran ambassador hissed softly. The humans warned us about the Krell invasion before our sensors detected anything. Their constant communication acted as an early warning system. Zektora nodded. And they coordinate actions across vast distances through their talk. Their silence may benefit someone who does not wish them to coordinate. Admiral Perry typed another message. The Earthship Starweaver is preparing to investigate the source location. We welcome allies who wish to join the mission. 5 species immediately volunteered ships. The Vrax, Arlaxians, Melnori, Tellerans, and Centauri would send vessels to accompany the humans. As the meeting concluded, Zektora approached the human admiral's screen. I once found human chatter irritating, he admitted. Now I find your silence disturbing. We will help you find your voice again. Admiral Perry nodded and typed, Thank you. We never realized how much our talking meant to the galaxy until it stopped. 2 weeks into the silence, humans across the galaxy began to adapt. On the Starweaver, Captain Lisa Wright watched her crew develop new ways to communicate. They had always been resourceful, but now that quality was more important than ever. Jack Miller worked with a team of human and alien linguists to create a standardized sign language that could be quickly learned. His hands moved rapidly as he demonstrated new signs to a group of crew members. Within days, most of the crew could carry on basic conversations with their hands. Sam Foster focused on technology solutions. He created small devices that could read neural signals and convert them to text or simple sounds. The devices weren't perfect, but they allowed humans to communicate their thoughts without having to type everything. Impressive adaptation, said Xanthar, the Melnori scientist who had joined their mission. Unlike humans, aliens could still speak normally. Your species refuses to accept limitations. Lisa nodded and typed on her wrist device. Necessity drives innovation. The Starweaver was now part of a small fleet heading toward the Cygnus sector. 2 Varax cruisers, an Arlaxian research vessel, and ships from 3 other alien species traveled alongside them. It was the largest multi-species cooperative mission in recent memory. In the ship's recreation area, Alan Patel was teaching a group of aliens simple human gestures. The aliens tried to copy his movements, some more successfully than others. The Tellarans, with their 6-fingered hands, proved particularly skilled at the new sign language. Diane Martinez entered the room, followed by a small human boy. She typed on her device and a robotic voice spoke. "This is Ryan. He's from the New Washington colony. His parents asked if he could join us since he's developed a unique method of communication." The boy was about 10 years old with bright eyes and a serious expression. He held up a small device that looked like a flute. When he blew into it while pressing different combinations of buttons, it produced sounds that resembled speech patterns. "He's using tonal combinations to replace words," Alan typed. "Like a spoken code," Ryan demonstrated by playing several sequences. The sounds weren't words exactly, but they conveyed meaning through their patterns. He could express simple concepts like hungry, unhappy, or tired with short sequences. Olivia watched with amazement and typed, "He's created a new language." Norvesh, who had joined the Arlaxian ship in their fleet, floated closer to observe the boy. "Fascinating. He has found a way to speak without speaking." Throughout human space, similar adaptations were happening. Children seemed especially quick to adjust. Schools taught sign language alongside regular subjects. Engineers developed new communication technologies. Artists created visual systems to express complex emotions. On Earth, Lisa's brother Paul worked with a team developing a global network of digital communication devices. His message reached Lisa across the light years. "We're not beaten, just quieter." The alien observers noted all of this with growing respect. The Centauri representative, Krilpaz, sent a report back to his government. "Humans show remarkable resilience. What would have crushed other species barely slows them down." Ambassador Zektora, traveling on one of the Vrak ships, watched recordings of silent human cities. People moved through their daily lives, communicating through signs, devices, and written words. Markets still functioned. Governments still governed. Life continued. "They find a way," he said to his aide. "Always, they find a way." As the fleet approached the edge of known space, Lisa gathered her senior officers in the conference room. She typed a message that appeared on everyone's screens. "We're 3 days from the source of the signal. We don't know what we'll find there, but whatever it is, we'll face it together." Around the table, her crew nodded in silent determination. They had lost their voices but not their resolve. They would discover who had silenced humanity and why, and somehow they would reclaim their voices. The fleet of 7 ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel near an unremarkable yellow star. Scans showed 5 planets orbiting the star. The 4th planet glowed with an unusual energy signature that matched the silence wave. On the bridge of the Starweaver, Alan Patel pointed to the readings on his screen. His hands moved in the newly developed sign language, which Xanthar translated for the others. "He says the signal is definitely coming from that planet," Xanthar explained, "and it appears to be artificial." Lisa nodded and typed on her wrist device. "Prepare a landing team. We need to investigate up close." The fleet moved into orbit around the 4th planet. Surface scans revealed it was rocky and mostly barren, with thin air that humans couldn't breathe. But in one area, a massive structure rose from the surface. It was clearly not natural. Perfect geometric shapes arranged in a pattern that stretched for miles. "A machine," Sam signed, his hands making quick, precise movements. "Or a transmitter of some kind." Ambassador Zektora, watching from the Vrak ship, sent a message. "This structure appears very ancient, much older than any known civilization in our galactic records." The landing team prepared in the shuttle bay. Lisa, Olivia, Alan, Sam, and Diane would represent the humans. Xanthar, Norvesh, and a Tellaran named Sithvak would join from the alien allies. They all wore environmental suits since the planet's atmosphere wasn't breathable. As they flew, down to the surface, the enormous structure came into view. It looked like a giant antenna or receiver, with crystalline components that pulsed with energy. Around the base were ruins of what must have once been buildings or a city. The shuttle landed half a mile from the main structure. The team exited carefully, testing the gravity and ground stability before proceeding. Alan immediately began taking readings with his portable scanner. His eyes widened as he studied the results. He signed rapidly to the others. He says the energy signature matches the silence wave exactly, translated Xanthar. This is definitely the source. The team approached the ruins surrounding the structure. Strange symbols were carved into fallen stone blocks. Sam took pictures of everything, feeding the images back to the fleet for analysis. Norvesh floated closer to one particularly large stone. These markings resemble ancient Melnori script, she said, but much, much older. Lisa examined the symbols and typed, "Can you read any of it?" "Only fragments," Norvesh replied. "It mentions silence and protection repeatedly. As they moved closer to the main structure, they found more intact buildings. Inside one, Alan discovered what appeared to be a control room. Dusty panels with more symbols lined the walls. A central platform held a device that was still glowing faintly. Sam approached it carefully and signed, "I think this is a computer or data storage device." He connected his tablet to the alien technology using an adapter he had designed. After several minutes of work, images began to appear on his screen. The images showed bipedal beings who looked nothing like humans or any known aliens. They had elongated heads with 4 eyes and skin that seemed to shimmer with metallic colors. The images showed them building the giant structure, then what looked like a war or conflict, and finally, extinction. Alan signed excitedly after examining more readings. Xanthar translated, "He believes these beings called themselves the Silencers. They created this device over 50,000 years ago." Diane moved her hands in careful signs. "But why target humans specifically? We didn't exist as a species when they died out." Sam continued working with the ancient computer. More images appeared, showing star maps and what looked like predictions or simulations. The final image showed a spiral galaxy with a dark cloud. Approaching it, Olivia typed, "Is that our galaxy?" Alan nodded and signed, "I think they were preparing for something they feared would come from space." Lisa looked at the ancient technology, then back at the star map. She typed, "They built this device as protection against some kind of threat. But why silence humans specifically?" Sam's tablet chimed. As it finished translating some of the alien text, everyone gathered around to read the message that appeared. The noisy ones will attract it. Their constant signals will guide it to all life. For the galaxy to survive, the pattern speakers must be silenced when the darkness approaches. The team stared at the translated message on Sam's tablet. The ancient silencers had feared human communication patterns, even though humans didn't exist when they built the device. Lisa typed rapidly. They somehow knew humans would evolve to be communicative. But what is this darkness they feared? Alan worked with the ancient computer, coaxing more information from it. His hands moved quickly as he signed to the others. "He says the silencers detected something approaching the galaxy," Xanthar translated. "Something that hunts by following communication patterns." More images appeared on the screen. A dark cloud moving between stars, planets going dark as it passed, the silencers fighting it somehow and losing. "They couldn't describe it directly," Norvesh said, her body pulsing with worried colors. "They could only show its effects." Sam connected more equipment to the ancient computer. His fingers flew over his tablet as he tried to understand the technology. After several minutes, he signed. The silence device was designed as a protection measure. It activates automatically when it detects the dark pattern approaching. "Is this darkness real?" Olivia typed. "Or were the silencers just afraid of something that never existed?" Alan signed again, and Xanthar translated. "The data shows the silencers were highly advanced. Their predictions were likely based on solid evidence." Diane examined a different part of the ruins and called the others over. She had found what looked like a timeline carved into stone. At the end of the timeline was a date that, when converted to Earth calendar, was just 2 months away. Lisa felt a chill despite her environmental suit. She typed, "That's when they predicted the darkness would arrive." Sam continued studying the ancient technology. After an hour of work, he signed with excitement. "I think I can create a device to counter the silence wave, but it might not be safe." "Explain," Lisa typed. "The silencers silenced humans because they believed our communication patterns would attract this darkness. If we restore human speech, we might put the whole galaxy at risk." A tense silence fell over the team. Finally, Ambassador Zektora spoke. Through their communication channel, "This decision affects all species. We should vote." The team returned to their ships to discuss the findings with the fleet. Hours of debate followed. Some alien representatives argued that human silence was a small price to pay for galactic safety. Others pointed out that the darkness might not even be real. Lisa gathered her crew on the Starweaver. She typed a message for all to see. "This is our choice to make. The silencers feared our voices, but our voices are what make us human." One by one, her crew nodded. They would take the risk. They would find their voices again. Sam worked with engineers from all 7 ships to build a counter device. They used parts from their own ships combined with knowledge gained from the silencer technology. After 2 days of non-stop work, they had a small, powerful transmitter. "This should disrupt the silence wave," Sam signed. "But it needs to be placed at the heart of the silencer device." "That's extremely dangerous," warned Norvesh. "The energy at the core could kill anyone who enters." Olivia stepped forward and typed, "I'll go. I'm the most experienced with hazardous environments." Lisa wanted to argue but knew Olivia was right. She simply nodded and squeezed her friend's shoulder. The team returned to the planet. While the others waited at a safe distance, Olivia approached the massive structure. She carried the counter device in a protective case. At the base of the structure, she found an entrance that led deep underground. Lisa watched on her tablet screen as Olivia's helmet camera showed her journey, down dark corridors past humming machinery, toward a pulsing blue light that grew brighter with each step. Finally, Olivia reached a central chamber. A brilliant blue crystal floated in the center, suspended by energy fields. This was the heart of the silence device. "Placing the counter device now," Olivia typed. She carefully positioned their creation near the crystal. The counter device began to glow as it powered up. Energy surged between it and the crystal. Suddenly, the ground shook. Alarms sounded in Olivia's suit. She typed quickly, "Energy spike. Need to get out now." On the surface, Lisa and the others watched anxiously as Olivia ran back through the corridors. The entire structure was now pulsing with erratic light patterns. "Come on, Olivia," Lisa mouthed silently, willing her friend to move faster. The ground shook as Olivia ran through the ancient corridors. Pieces of ceiling fell around her. The counter device was working, but it was causing the entire structure to become unstable. Outside, Lisa and the team watched anxiously. The massive structure was glowing with strange energy patterns. Blue light shot from its top into space. "Signal changing," Alan signed, looking at his scanner. "The silence wave is breaking down." After what seemed like forever, Olivia burst from the entrance. She sprinted toward the team as the structure behind her began to collapse. Sam and Lisa ran forward to help her. They grabbed her arms and pulled her to safety just as a massive piece of the structure crashed down where she had been standing. The team rushed back to their shuttle and took off. From the air, they watched as the ancient silencer device collapsed in on itself. Energy beams shot in all directions before the entire structure imploded, leaving only a smoking crater. "Did it work?" Lisa typed as they flew back to the Starweaver. No one knew for sure. They would have to wait and see. 3 days later, as the fleet traveled back toward human space, Jack Miller was at his communication station when he suddenly gasped. A small sound, but one that made everyone on the bridge turn to look at him. Jack's eyes widened. He touched his throat and tried again. "Hello," he said, his voice rough from weeks of silence. "I can talk." One by one, the crew tested their voices. Some could only whisper at first. Others found their words coming out strange and halting, but they could speak again. Lisa felt tears in her eyes as she said her first words in almost a month. "Thank you all." Reports soon came in from across human space. The silence was lifting everywhere. On Earth, in colonies, on ships, humans were finding their voices again. Many cried with joy at hearing loved ones speak. Children who had been silent shouted and laughed. A week later, Lisa stood before the Galactic Council. Representatives from all major species had gathered to hear the human report. "The ancient race called the Silencers built the device that took our voices," she explained. Her voice was still a bit rough, but growing stronger each day. "They feared something they called the darkness, an entity that hunts by following communication patterns. They believed human speech would attract it to our galaxy." "Do you believe this threat is real?" asked Ambassador Zektora. Lisa looked at Alan, who nodded. "Our science team believes the Silencers were not acting on superstition. They detected something real, something that may still be coming." Murmurs spread through the council chamber. "But you chose to restore your voices. Anyway," Norvesh observed. "Knowing the risk." "Yes," Lisa said firmly, "because we believe our voices are not just noise. They're connection. They're warning. They're who we are." Xanthar stepped forward. "The Melnori have analyzed the data from the Silencer ruins. We believe human communication patterns are unique. In the galaxy, they form a complex web that might actually help detect this darkness before it arrives. What the Silencers feared as a beacon," Alan added, "might actually be our early warning system." The council voted to establish a new monitoring network. Using human communication patterns as a template, they would watch for signs of the approaching darkness. If it was real, they would face it together. As the meeting ended, Ambassador Zektora approached Lisa. "I owe you an apology, Captain Wright. I once found human chatter annoying. Now I understand its value." Lisa smiled. "Sometimes we don't appreciate something until it's gone." Back on the Starweaver, Lisa recorded a log entry in her quarters. "It's been 6 weeks since we regained our voices. The galaxy seems different now, not just because we can speak again, but because everyone is actually listening to what we say. Sometimes it takes silence to make people value your words." She paused, then added with a smile, "And now that we can talk again, we have quite a story to tell."